Welcome to the Success Revenue Podcast, the only podcast in the Middle East that brings you leaders in customer success, account management, sales, and go to market to share ideas, perspectives, and valuable learnings on how to successfully drive revenue, delight customers, and take it to the next level.
We are your hosts. I'm Hadal Sab, CEO of RevSetter, the customer management platform, and with my amazing co-host, Aida Ferrero, CS leader, executive, and advisor. And we're excited to bring you a long list of amazing guests on this season of the Success Revenue Podcast. Today, we have the pleasure and honor to speak to a real sales professional and executive that manages across the MENA region. We'll touch on several different topics, including how to become excellent sales and go-to-market leader and what skills are required for that. We'll speak about how technology and AI is impacting the sales process and journey, as well as speak about the customer experience and the customer journey and how that is impacted by technology and the sales process. Ivy, great guest today, and I'm excited to jump into some sales conversations.
Yeah, I am so excited. It is our first guest from Qatar. So I'm
Yes.
so excited.
Yep. It's gonna be great, and it's you see my background is different. I'm still in Europe, moving around, so I'm excited always for these conversations with our guests, kind of tying back into the region and having those conversations.
Yeah. I'm really excited. It's always really nice to hear how people manage to actually get new business in this region, where building relationship comes first, and also where the sales cycles have gotten way longer than they used to be. Were you the one who told me something about the number? How I think it was one of our guests that we had in the podcast. I don't know if you remember how back in the day the sales cycle was X amount of days, but now it's gotten way much longer. I mean, you have your own AI
Yeah.
company, so I'm sure you'll be able to tell us. But have you felt like
Yes.
it's the same amount of time from the US to here?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think, like you said, the sales cycle in general, I think across the board have become longer. If you look at where it is now versus just a few years ago, across the board, whether that's in the US, here in the MENA region and beyond, which is, a lot of this due to the buyers becoming more aware and the process becoming more complex. You now have bigger buying, especially on the enterprise side, you have bigger buying committees and more people involved in the decision. So I definitely think it's become a longer sales process in general out there. And historically, the I would say that the Middle East region has had longer sales cycles, but also I think a higher close rate because it's a lot of this longer sales cycles are because you need to build trust and relationships at a deeper level than maybe in the US in terms of closing the deal. So that takes a bit longer time. But once you do that successfully, you're closing at a higher rate. So the unit economics kind of end up being very similar anyways, but it's just kind of different push and pull in terms of velocity versus close rates and things of that nature. But yeah, I'm sure we're gonna dig into some of that with our guest today. She being an expert and a sales leader in the region. I'm sure she'll have some ideas on, the length of the sales process, but also how to effectively navigate that. I think that's gonna be really interesting to go through.
Amazing. So should we go ahead and just bring her in?
Let's do it. Let's jump into the conversation.
All right, guys, I am so excited because today I'm joined by someone whose career journey is as inspiring as it is impressive. Aida Durmic, she's originally from Bosnia and is now based in Qatar. She started out in the legal field, spending 4 years building her career. And before making a bold move to a complete different industry in sales and IT, for the past 9 years and a half, she's been with Infobip, working across the MENA region with some of the largest enterprise clients, driving sales and growth in a variety of industries and teams. And most recently, she stepped into a new role as the head of new business for MENA. Ada, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Welcome,
Ivy.
Ada.
Hi, Ivy. Hi, there. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really excited, really happy, honored to have this talk with you, and thank you so much for considering me and inviting me.
Our pleasure.
And if you just want to start us off and tell us a little bit more about your background, a little bit more about your story, and how did you ended up in Qatar?
Thank you for your intro. You covered a lot of it when you were doing the intro. It sounds like if I didn't know how it went, it sounds very nice, very exciting the way you presented it. So yeah, my education and my background is in legal, and before joining Infobip, I've spent 4 years working in legal as a jurist, as a company secretary, and moving to Infobip is it was a little bit out of necessity as well because I when I got married I changed I moved from one city to another, and I knew that I kind of felt and knew that my next step has to be something that would give me international exposure, that would be an international environment because I kind of had it going for me. I was fluent in English, and I was like, if there is a space for me, it should be something that has this international component. And Infobip was actually the first and the only opportunity at that time that sort of responded to my application. I remember when I joined the Infobip, every like I was a 28-year-old junior, but like a dead junior. I was entering a new career, a new profession, a new environment. So I remember I was the first day I was sitting in the stand up with them, and I was like, I thought I was fluent in English. I thought I knew something, but I don't understand what these people are talking about. Like, this is not, I'm a fraud. They're going to see right through me. How am I going to, how am I going to come out of this? But week after week and with an amazing onboarding, really, I was able to really learn a lot. I'll always be grateful for my colleagues and for my onboarding process that sort of helped me get into the sales role immediately. For me, the beginning was not just learning about Infobip, about the tools, about the industry, about the specifics of what we were selling. It was also learning everything about sales. Everything was new to me, Cold calling was, I didn't know what a funnel was. I didn't know what prospecting was. I didn't know what cold calling, cold emailing was. So I really did start from basics of basics and started off from scratch. And I feel that what allowed me to kind of grow within Infobip is that I also grew as we were changing our portfolio and as we were changing our approach to enterprise clients and everything. I grew with it. So I always feel like why I'm good in sales within Infobip is because I was able to grow with every stage and every change that we were, putting out there. So this isn't short. This isn't very short, but yeah, this is how my beginning looked like. I've really never regretted it. I don't find a scenario where I would go back to legal or anything else. It's sales for me. So that's it.
Wow. Wow, you really got out of your comfort zone. For somebody who didn't have a background in sales, you really push yourselves. You must have also had a really big desire to make it happen or be successful and prove to yourself that you really wanted this. And as you have like such a big tenure and long tenure in sales, what fascinates you about sales now?
I have to tell you that what was the breaking point for me was when I joined Infobip, we were more into wholesale. So we were a CPaaS provider and we were more into wholesale. So what kind of changed everything for me is when we were exposed, when we entered this enterprise sales and when we started focusing around enterprise sales. And then later when we kind of went into SaaS and the concept of SaaS and solution selling and consultative selling. This is something that made a difference for me. And this is when I realized that, okay, wow, it really is about how well you're able to identify your buyers, your opportunities, how well you're able to position your solution. In wholesale, it's pretty much about, negotiation and the pricing. It comes down to pricing. While the solution selling has so many different elements, it's so important how well you are able to identify your buyer persona, connect with them, build this relationship with them. In sales, this was what was always fascinating me. And then when you help the customer implement your solution, and then seeing that solution, go live, I'm loyal to the core. So I'm using a lot of the solutions that our customers are implementing and putting out there, from food ordering and grocery shopping to, online shopping using their e-commerces. My bank is the bank that works with us is also my bank. So I get to go through these flows. I get to go through these journeys. I get to see how it resonates with me as their user, as their consumer, as someone who is at the end, using the service. So I think for me, what fascinates me, seeing it live, seeing it go live, saying like, oh, that's us. I know the journey for us to get there, but also the dedication of the team, from your clients when you're working with them, the dedication of these teams to really make it valuable for their end customers and for their end users is something that is very rewarding once you put out the project. Once the project is out, it's really very rewarding to see, how they came together and gave you their trust, and how well you've helped them and implemented the solution. It's really very rewarding. So this is what fascinates me about sales,
Hmm.
always about enterprise sales in specific.
Oh, that's awesome, Aida. And it's such a cool story when you see someone do that transition. And I've had a lot of people over the years that are coming from a completely different field. For you, it was legal, but it could be education, it could be sports, could be whatever it is, and going into the go-to-market side, sales, customer success, etc. And it's always such a cool journey to see that, because there's so much that transfers. And I'm kind of curious as well for you, as you're making that transition. You kind of told us that you're in the room, kind of afraid about not knowing anything to start, and obviously you've had a remarkable career trajectory since then to your current position, leading new business for the entire MENA region. Uh, when was kind of the turning point where you realized, you know what, I actually have an edge here. I'm a real knack for this, and I can transfer a lot of my innate skill sets or what I've learned before, whatever it might be, into doing really well here in sales. Did you have kind of any moments like that, or realizations as you were coming up and developing into the leader that you are today, where that kind of really clicked for you?
What helped me identify that maybe this would be interesting to me and then I would be ready for this is when I realized that, as a senior or someone who was already or still working directly in sales, when I realized that there's this experience and there's this knowledge and there are these results that I can pass on to the team. That, like, there are lessons that I've learned that I can now pass on to the team, guide them, help them, uncover some opportunities and help them build their own pipeline growth. We were for four, no, for 5 years, for more than 4 years, I was working remotely from the back office. So what we were doing is we were doing these sales trips and frequent sales visits to the market. So you're kind of limited with the time that you actually spend face to face with the customers, talking to them, meeting them, showcasing your solution, trying to build a pipeline. So kind of going back to the office and mentoring new people that are coming in, or somehow, including different departments, including different colleagues, helping your colleagues with their projects or involving them in your projects. This is kind of what I think made me realize that it could be a natural path for me to just keep doing this and doing it on a slightly bigger scale when leading a team and not just being an individual contributor. And I have to say that I was also very blessed, and I am very grateful that also my managers and my mentors were able to somehow recognize that in me and give me the opportunity. And that's how my first team lead position came to be. It was when I collected enough of market knowledge and experience and results to be able to guide the team to build more together.
Yeah. No,
Amazing.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, you always say kind of for anything in life, you know it when you can teach to someone else. That's when you actually really know something. So that's a great moment there. And indeed, and I don't know. Thinking about your kind of current role, obviously leading sales across a big region, and also a region that I think for our listeners, I mean, I obviously we came from the U.S. to the region, and before that, I mean, I grew up in Europe, so we know how all these different markets are different. But I think a lot of times we come to the Middle East, people expect everything to be the same, but as we know, Saudi is very different from the UAE, from Qatar, from whatever other country in the region that you might think about. So I'm kind of curious, how do you, as you're looking at new opportunities across these different markets or new markets that you're entering, do you have any frameworks or any kind of models that you leverage to kind of assess where are the better opportunities to focus on for the team? Where are the opportunities that we should focus less on? Kind of how do you approach that when it's just so different from country to country, market to market within your region?
I have to be very honest that for me, it kind of always starts with the very basic. You start with your SWOT analysis. You start with just figuring out where you are, and I'm leading a team of hunters, and my personality and my how to say, I'm a pure hunter persona. So for me, it's very important that me and the team, you have to get this exposure to the market, and you have to keep having conversations with the customers and just trying to educate and learn a lot from what their needs are, what are they looking for, what your competition is doing. You don't get to learn about your competition you don't get to learn about your competition from the competitors. You learn about that from the customers as well. So just making sure that you have a lot of conversations with your customers, that you're doing the basic everyday tasks of picking up the phone, doing your prospecting, calling as many prospects, as many target clients that you can. This is kind of what helps you uncover where your priorities are, where your opportunities are, what industries you will have. Maybe in some industries you already have a reference, or you have an easier way in, or you have someone that will introduce you. In some don't, some markets are completely new for you, where somewhere you already have some past experience, or you already have a channel partner, or you already have a way in. So assessing all of that and knowing where you stand, what needs to be your priority, or what needs to be your primarily focus. I think this is very important when you're entering a new market. And like you said, every market in MENA is so different and has its own set of specifics. um some, like, there are features, there are components of our solution and our platform that don't work on all of the markets. So you're able to build an amazing pipeline for one solution or one channel in one market, but then in some other market there's no way to even position it. So knowing what needs to be your kind of focus, knowing what will open door for you, this is really essential. And you don't get to learn this unless you're talking to your customers, talking to your prospects, and really trying to first understand where your solution fits in. Building a pipeline and building a market up is not done overnight. It's impossible. I've seen amazing, amazing, amazing sales, and still it's not easy for them to build a pipeline overnight. And the expectations for any leader in growth are not that, the pipeline will come on its own, or that it will come immediately. There's a lot of work that you first have to put into educating the market, understanding the market before you can, see it materialize. This is something that I always kind of try to focus on, or have as a guidelines, that it won't come overnight. There has to be a lot of groundwork done before you see something materialize itself.
Mm. Wow. All great insights. And Ada, I'm kind of curious, as your role has evolved at Infobip, you went from managing like one country to multi regions. I wanted to ask you, in terms of like your personal leadership style, how has that evolved as you went from just your scope went from one country to multiple regions?
I'll answer you, but not in terms of one country to multiple markets, but because it was somehow always multiple markets for us. So, for example, even when I moved and relocated to Qatar, it was not just to manage Qatar. It was Qatar, Kuwait, and Oman at the time because it was somehow grouped as a market, and these three markets are among the GCC. For example, these three markets are more specific, and they were kind of grouped together. We would have UAE, Bahrain as one market, Saudi as another, and then Qatar, Kuwait, Oman as a separate team. So it was always multiple markets for me. Before that, it was whole MENA. Before that, it was focus on Jordan, UAE, Bahrain, Lebanon. So it was always multiple markets. But what changed for me in this role is that I went from matrix manager to as a team lead or a squad lead. You're basically in charge of managing the team and the targets and the business outcomes. But I wasn't leading the team. I was not managing the team, and people development was not on me. Hiring, building the team, that was not part of my scope. So this is actually what changed for me in this role, is that first time now in this role, I'm able to kind of influence and, first of all, build a team, help somehow uncover the talents for different industries and different markets. And this is what kind of evolved in my or the lessons that I'm still now learning. Hiring in every market is not the same. Hiring for different squads or different industries is not the same. Hiring also taking in the component of existing teams and how you're bringing a person to really adapt and fit into an existing team and existing environment. Different metrics managers, so these are the lessons that I'm now learning and going through. I've also never worked with, for example, I've never worked with mid-market. I've never worked with BDR motion. So I was always focused on enterprise sales in tier one. So now when this is part of my scope as well, I'm learning about how to make these motions work as well. And it's not just what now I can pass on to the team, but also I'm learning a lot from them. So it's a continuous now learning for me. I'm now exposed to some markets that honestly I don't even, it's hard for me to maybe even guide the team there when it's the first time I'm working with Turkish market, for example. Turkey is also part of MENA. So for me, it's a very personal challenge to again learn about new markets, learn about different markets, what drives them, how to help the local team, especially when I'm not based and I'm based out of Qatar, while my team is split in different offices and different regions across MENA. So the that I'm managing is based out of 6 different offices. So, showing up and supporting the team remotely when I never sold on some of these markets. I don't have an experience on some of these markets, and still you have to be able to help the local team, the squad lead for that specific team or that specific market. Find the best talent, onboard them, integrate them into the team. So this is how now my role is evolving. These are some of the lessons and the challenges that I'm going through right now. And to be honest with you, it's for now it's very rewarding because it's the first time that I'm also in a pure leadership position where I'm also in charge of helping them with their development items, with their goals, how to make sure that we're on target with everything, the numbers, and uh, how to say the descriptive things that we need to challenge ourselves and grow into for our role. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah.
It was not one country to multiple markets. It was actually, really stepping into the leadership role for the first time.
Oh, wow, Ada. Well, first of all, congratulations on this role. I'm sure you're going to learn so much, and it already sounds like you're learning a lot. And now I wanted to kind of reroute you for us to talk a little bit more about like the buyer expectations, because obviously you've been with Infobip through many years, and so you've been able to see how buyer expectations have been shifting. And what I wanted to ask you is, how do you see buyer expectations shifting as sales becomes more tech enabled?
I feel that the shift has already happened. We're already in the shift is there. We've transitioned. And I feel that this shift is when we entered this, consultative approach and solution selling and value-based selling. There's something that I've read, and it's I'm not sure who to quote, but it's you can research about it that when your customer is coming to you, they're already familiar. I don't know, 70 to 80%, they already know about your solution. So the buyers and the customers are already really well informed, first of all, about what they want, what they need, what kind of solution they're looking for, but then also about your organization. And then thinking that, you're going into this pitch and that you're going into this sale to give them everything from scratch. A lot of the times it's not like that. Your buyers are already familiar with the ecosystem, with the biggest players, your biggest competitors, and definitely about what they want. So this came to kind of enforce this consultative selling and solution based approach, where I'm sure that you can relate to this a lot coming from US market. Sales cycle has always been very long in Middle East. Okay, so sales cycle, buying process, and sales process in general is very long, and with AI entering and with new technology entering, it somehow hasn't shortened the sales process. It has prolonged it. So, what buyers are now expecting, first of all, is that you really know your solution in depth. And something that I'm trying to always emphasize from my side to the team is that you really need to be confident about what you're selling and the value that you're bringing to the customer. If you already know that your customer is coming to you knowing a lot about your solution, and it's mandatory that you can show your expertise, that you can show how well you understand, how well you can uncover the challenges and the pains that your solution can help them resolve, first of all. And in order to know that, you have to know your solution in and out. So sales are becoming much more technical. They have to understand the value of the platform, the value of what you can do for the customer. And this is the shift that I feel has already happened. It's not, I see it only evolving more and more as things become more complex and as the sales cycle is getting lengthened. I see it becoming even more mandatory. But for me, from everything that I'm seeing and observing, this is where we are already. And it's really important that the sales take the time to for me, like one of the most important stages of hiring someone, or how you become successful in your role, or how you're able to build a great pipeline, taking the time to really and investing the time to really go through onboarding properly, because this will give you so much self-confidence. This will give you so much power to really know how to recognize your priorities, how to recognize your opportunities in the market, how to find what works best for you, and connecting with the buyers and driving this decision towards your solution. So for me, really what I'm seeing is that your buyers are just expecting you to really be their consultant along the way, and in every stage of the new sales process and the sales cycle, you have to know how to consult them, who to bring in from your team to help you, how to make your case internally and externally as well, in order to you know uh, go through come through in the end of the sales cycle.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I think, like you said, in terms of the buyer experience and expectation is changing. The way that we do sales is changing because of the technology that is out there and enables us. And I'm kind of curious if you can dig deep a little bit on that point in terms of the sales cycle and also just the way the sales process is running today. And I'm curious in particular your thoughts when it comes to AI and how, whether that's AI tools, whether that is AI agents that can take over parts of that process in a certain extent. How do you see AI fitting into how the sales process and the sales journey is evolving? How are you implementing it? How are you approaching it as a sales leader?
We're seeing AI being used as, tools to achieve much better efficiency. AI can now help you rewrite whatever kind of pitch you're working on. It can help you, it can really help you with your pitch. It can help you so well with your research, getting to know customer insights, getting to know a lot about your buyer persona, about your, organization that you're selling into. So these are some of, I feel that now it's easier than ever, how fast the information is, how easy access to this information is. Now it's something that a few years back we weren't even able to imagine this, and now here we are. What I do feel still needs more is adoption of even, using AI tools to help you achieve better, efficiency and reduce this admin work and this, how to say, the time that it took you before to draft a custom proposal or a custom pitch, or, do a deep research into your customer. This can now be done very fast, but are we really using it? Like, are we adopting to it? Are you using, the tools that you have at your hand to speed up process, or to speed up, your sales cycle, and the way you sell? That's one thing. A second thing, it's really understanding that it's still how to drive decisions and how to evoke, decisions or thought process or emotions in people. Your buyers are still people. So it really is still a tool to help you draft the best message to your customer, who's human at the end. So there's no it this one-on-one relationship building with your prospect, with your customer, is still essential, because AI now in the sales cycle is nothing but a tool to help you get somewhere faster, but the decision is still being made by a person who, at the end of the day, you have to know what ticks their boxes, what drives them make a decision, what drives them, what helps them make a decision, what will be the turning point that they will decide for your solution and not someone else's solution, especially if we know that the sales cycle is now even longer than it was before, and that there are so many different stages in the sales cycle. So how well you're able to make AI work for you, and still making sure that you're connecting with the buyers, you're able to answer them very fast, you're there to sort of help them, guide them through it all. That's still essential. That hasn't changed. That AI is not picking up on that. It's not using AI to solve AI. It's still using AI tools to drive decisions in human. So I think we have to still understand that we're still there. And I know that, like, few weeks back we were pitched a demo to, how to use AI to help onboarding people, to help, with putting people through different scenarios, to just help them come to this self-confidence and understanding of your solution faster and easier, and how to build different prompts that will help them learn better, or navigate through discovery or different sales stages. So again, all all used as tools to help you either in the onboarding process or in the pitch. But ultimately, it will come down to building a relationship with the customer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I've said this before on the pod here, and I'll say it again. Like in my mind, when you look at any workflow process, sales, onboarding specifically, a login process, whatever it might be, you can quickly identify certain things that can be automated to make things faster and more efficient. Certain things that the AI can take over, whether that's agents, Gen AI, what have you. And then there's the most important things will still need to be done by humans, right? Creating that relationship, driving the buying decision, closing the deal is on an enterprise level. And then, there are other arguments when we talk about more commodity products, or even now in B2C consumption, that's going to be mainly AI driving those things. I think, but it's just in general, that's a good way of looking at it. Just as you're describing, there's things that AI will do, there are things that will take over, but there's also things that will still require the human, especially in those enterprise sales type loops and processes that we have. And kind of curious, just kind of getting kind of looking ahead a little bit, right? As a sales leader, we're always in the moment and the now, right? There's a quota to hit, there's a target to meet, there's next process, next deal, next kind of conversation that we go into. But as you step back and look ahead a few years, right, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, with the pace that AI is changing, technology, how the buying experience and journey is also shifting very quickly. Kind of what do you expect for the next, let's look 2, 3 years. What do you expect that will be required from sales leaders out there, in terms of just their skill set, their ability to adapt to this new technology? There's a lot of talk today about managing and supervising not just humans, but also AI agents and other things just, later this year or into next year and the couple next years. Do you think about that at all? What do you expect for the future? What would you recommend for sales leaders out there to think about when they're kind of future proving their own skill sets and development as they move into the next few years here? That will surely change a lot as well.
We're all grasping still. We're all we're all learning about it still.
Yeah.
For me personally, when I'm looking at it, it's very hard for me to still understand how the adoption will go, because you always have this with new technologies and new things rolling out, is that you'll always have early adopters. You'll always have organizations that are faster to implement a solution, but you also have organizations where uh, they will somehow try to, how to say, I don't want to say resist it, but it really needs to bring a certain value for them to invest. The budgets for implementing something, every organization, have their certain way of budgeting and investing, and this, aligning the ROI that your solution will have at the end of the day, whatever they invest in bringing in your solution. So aligning the features and aligning your product development with what customers want to implement, what will be this value for them by implementing your solution, the outcomes, the ROI that they want to see with them. This is something that we still need to kind of closely closely work on and understand, and how this adoption will really go. From everything that I've known or learned in these few years in this market, um, right now, everyone needs upskilling. It's not just, the sales that are on the ground and working directly with the customers. We as leaders as well need a lot of upskilling to understand um, how fast the organizations will be adopting to new technologies, new use cases. I feel we are all in this, and I don't really buy in to experts on the matter at the moment. Like, we just woke up and agentic AI happened. It was sort of like such an overnight thing that where did you build an expertise? Didn't we just release it? Like, aren't we all just adapting to and learning about it? So I'm still not buying in on the expertise part. I feel like we all still need a lot of learning and a lot of time to see how fast the adoption really will be, and the value out of it. Because I've seen a lot of the times when customers, if they, and especially if they just want to be innovative with the solution and they want to roll out something fast, if they are not clear on the outcomes and on the ROI that they want out of it, it ends up as a very poor utilization and a project that really didn't bring any value to them, and it sort of distracts a lot of the projects that were rolled out. The adoption and the utilization of it were not there, and at the end of the day, your project failed, or you didn't have anything to show off for your customers because you really didn't know what the outcomes you were expecting to be. So I hope this answers your question, but I feel we all need some time to observe and see how the market will adapt to it. Uh, Again, if I know anything about this market, is that things either don't move really fast, like they take time to stall, and then at some point there is this kind of rush or FOMO, fear of missing out, and then you have some specific industries or clients that want to go live ASAP and that want to implement something really fast and really really urgently. So I'm predicting that this is how it's gonna go again, but definitely takes it's required from all of us to get familiar with what the new solutions can really, what the impact is that they can really make in the organizations, and aligning everything that we're trying to develop to really have really drive this outcome.
I love that, Ada. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's still a bit too early for anybody to say that we're so capable of understanding the capacity of AI. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you that at the end of the day, what is gonna set somebody apart from anything else is, can we welcome the idea of having this tool that is gonna help us be more efficient and perform better, and therefore be more strategic about the tasks that we do that are essentially going to move us forward to us focusing on tasks that are going to drive more value for the company. So I'm excited. I think it's moving fast, and I think every month, every day, by the minute, these tools are getting even better and better. And I wanted to kind of ask you more of a personal level question in terms of what sort of like habits or practices help you to keep yourself like resilient and focused while also having so much pressure, because you do have a certain amount of pressure of leading growth in such a competitive market. Are there any sort of habits or practices that you use to keep you resilient and focused?
For me, the answer is in your question. I feel to be to be in sales, especially when you're in a hunter role or you're working with hunters, uh, you have to be resilient by nature, and you have to have a very thick skin. I think you both can really relate to that. I know, I mean, you can, because we've had this conversation a little bit as well. Um, uh, uh, um, it's really how to, for me, it's really knowing that you have to show up for yourself and the team every day, like day in and day out. And that a lot of the things that you have to do, of course, are repetitive and needed. And maybe there are days that you don't feel like, picking up the phone and doing the prospecting and doing what essentially you have to do as a hunter. But knowing that it's all part of the process, that it there's no shortcut, that you just have to do it. You have to pick up the phone and you have to be able to push through. Like, even if, let's say, you lose the biggest deal that you're working on, and it goes out of your pipeline, still, you don't get the luxury to mourn for it. You still kind of have to push through it and still, work on bringing in your next big deal. And whether your deal was closed, won, or lost, you're still at the same stage where you still have to, go after the next big deal and the next best thing that you can bring to your pipeline. I don't know. For me, it was always pretty easy to keep focus, because it was, especially as a hunter, you always know what's expected. You always know that, if something is not in the pipeline, uh, it has to go through the pipeline in order for it to, for you to bring the deal, to close the deal. So always making sure that you're day in, day out, doing the most basic thing of picking up the phone, reaching out to people, exposing yourself as much to the market, to your buyers, to your target list of accounts, of customers. And a lot of the times, especially if you're focused on one market, your target account list generally cannot change. Like, you will always have a certain amount of clients or targets or customers that you're going after. So it's crafting your how you crafting your approach, pushing through it, knowing that it's essential that you just build this natural resilience that it's a part of the job. It will be rewarded later on, but the basic of just keeping the conversation going, shifting your approach. I always say this to hunters, that the best thing for me and something that has always excited me about sales and specifically hunting and bringing in new sales is that you can change your strategy and you can change your approach, not just on a daily basis. You can change it on an hourly basis. There's no guarantee and there is no best advice of what will work, but knowing that this kind of resilience and this kind of focus, that you have to push through it and that you have to change your approach day in day out, is what keeps you going. And if you're I've seen in really in top performers and in real hunters, I've seen that this kind of comes really very natural. You just have to keep the conversation going, and even if you're not able to, and the good thing about products evolving and solutions evolving, AI coming into the picture, new innovative solutions coming into the picture, is that even if you were not able to have a conversation with your buyer a year ago, maybe now it's the right time. If you were not able to offer them something, or if you didn't have the best solution and the best fit a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, maybe now you have. So this is why it's really important that um, it's always a numbers game, and you just have to know how to push through it, and just always keep yourself focused on what your goal is.
Yeah, all great insights. Yeah, I feel like sales is such a mindset uh, game. Definitely having to wake up every day and say, okay, I'm gonna have the most incredible day. I'm gonna push through. They're gonna call me back and everything. And to touch a little, to touch back on your point of like being able to change your strategy, it does feel really good when you change your strategy and you do get some sort of like different outcome or move the needle or anything like that. I think it's extremely gratifying. And Ada, I have one question in regards to you being a woman in a leadership position and driving growth across different regions. What is one piece of advice you would share with women aiming for senior commercial roles?
I don't know if it's an advice for women in specific or if it's just a general advice, but what was advised to me and what resonated with me really well is that you really cannot compare. Don't compare your growth career trajectory to anyone else's. It's really very important that that the trust that was given to you and why you were best fit for a specific role has everything to do with you, with your experience, with your potential. So I feel that if you step into any role trying to compare yourself to what your peers are doing or anyone else is doing, is really gonna kill it for you. I don't think that you can force anything, really. I don't think you can force respect. I don't think you can force relationships. People can always see right through you. So I think it's really very important that you're always as transparent as you can be. Just like what we were just talking about now, it kind of all adds up on everything. If you are requesting upskilling from your team has to know that you also need to take time to learn about new solutions, learn about what is going on in the market. So trying to fake it or trying to somehow appear better than it really is, people are always going to see right through you. While if you're honest with your team and if you're just, guiding the team in a way that, okay, let's see, let's focus on this, let's try this approach. Maybe it will work, maybe it will not work, but we have to know also what will be the lessons from learning something. This is every strategy has to bring either results or, you learn what works, what not. There's always a learning behind it. So I feel like being honest and transparent with your team, learning by doing, learning alongside of them. Learning by doing is actually one of the core values that we have in Infobip, and I'm really very grateful, genuinely very grateful that this is something that is embedded in the growth of each one of us. Is that you really get to learn by doing. So making sure that your team is aware of that, especially in these kind of, like, my role is still very mid management kind of role. So making sure that the team is comfortable, that let's just go out there, let's try our best, let's see what we will focus on, what we will learn from it, what we want to achieve from it, how we will grow from every strategy and activity that we're putting into. I think that's really essential, and that this is one piece of advice that I always say to everyone. If you try to fake it, if you try to make things better than appear better than they are, people are always gonna see right through it. There's no way. It's always like that. So I don't know. This is kind of this is what I always advise to everyone, not just necessarily women, but anyone who is stepping into any kind of role is, and make informative decisions. Sometimes take your time to make the decision, consult with people. It's normal that you don't, have all the answers right away, but knowing who are the people who can help you navigate internally and then help you support your team, I think that's very important. So maybe this is,
Beautiful. I love that.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, they're great points indeed. And I mean, it really comes down to, and leadership is about trust, right? And what you're talking about is building trust through transparency and being humble and kind of leading the way by doing, not just by saying. So that all adds up together very nicely. Amazing. It's crazy. I was kind of just looking. We've been going on here and almost for the full episode, talked through so many different things and aspects. It's such great insights so far. And what we like to finish off with these conversations is kind of a quick lightning round, as we call it. We'll throw out some questions, get quick answers back from you, and kind of test that quick feed of yours as a sales leader. So are you ready for some quick lightning round questions here from us?
I hope I
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult. I promise. I promise. We usually go easy here. But all right, so let's start off. I'll throw you out a really easy one to start off with. What's your favorite content to consume right now? Book, podcast, whatever it might be. Do you have any favorites right now?
Okay, so for me, if I'm really honest, and I'll try to be as quick as possible, but if I'm really honest, I have such a content fatigue and I have such a big information fatigue. Like I feel that we're so overwhelmed with so much content coming in from everywhere. This is why I said earlier, like I'm not buying in on the expertise thing just yet,
Yeah.
because I feel that everyone is just, like kind of pushing on the content part that is a lot of the times really creating a lot of fatigue. For me, I have in terms of podcasts, there is one, like there is a Balkan version of the Diary of a CEO, and it's called Business Stories, Business Future, where I love hearing and I love listening to people who have built something from ground up, and I love hearing about how they came up with the idea. Like this, how do you come up with $1 million, $1 billion idea is what fascinates me about people. I really like to listen to hustle stories and people who have built something. It really always fascinates me about people, because putting in the hard work is I feel for me that it's always much easier to put in the work, but really recognizing an idea that will resonate and that will build build up into a great story, that always fascinates me. So this is the kind of content that I like to listen to. But I have a small boy. My boy is 2.5 years old. So for me to dedicate some time to really consume, this is why I'm saying that I have a content fatigue, because I've noticed that I also have very short attention span lately. Like if you're putting out an article and every paragraph is wrapping up to be about the same thing, and you're just trying to make it longer than it should be, for me that's just, it kills it for me. So what I like to do, I'm subscribed to a few newsletters, so I receive it. So I kind of I kind of make the information come to me in my inbox, and then based on the titles, I know if I'll go into it and read about it and just keep myself informed, at least on a high level of what is going on in the world. But I've noticed really that if a video is long, if an article is long, my attention span is just so short. Like, please keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it, because everyone is bombarded by so much content going out, that it's really about the value content that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Agreed.
definitely. And Yep. And I'll say this as someone that's been in go-to-market leadership for almost 20 years and 10 plus years, agentic several years. There are a lot of experts out there that don't know what they're talking about. There's a lot of that today, and especially in AI and agentic and all these different things that so, being cautious about what you're consuming as expert knowledge, I think is really important, because otherwise you're consuming, just like if you put in bad data into AI or any system, you get bad stuff back. Same thing with your brain and the knowledge that you consume. If you're just consuming everything at face value, then that will be a challenge for you for sure. And to that point, so let me ask you the next question here then. Are there any specific people that are influential or inspiring they think do this well, provide actually good content or good inspiration? And any particular people you would like to mention or anything that comes to mind?
Honestly, not someone that I would single out. For me, as someone who is battling
Yeah.
with the attention. I do like to. I make sure that I'm following everyone from my organization first, because Infobip is a very fast paced organization. We're putting out a lot as well, and we're investing a lot in different regions globally as well. So for me, it's also very important that I'm following first on the people who, who I should be learning from, and information that I should be aware of. I am following a lot of different business leaders across MENA. Again, not most of the time, not for the sake of inspiration, but to really just know what is going on in the market. And I
Yep.
feel it's
Mhm.
important that, like big players, big organizations, you have to somehow, your competition as well, like follow your competition. You have to know what they're doing. So for me, I don't want to. I wouldn't single out anyone, but whatever your business scope is, make sure that you know at least who in the MENA is driving things,
Yep.
and following them, you'll really have this information kind of come to you, find you, and this is something that I'm doing.
Awesome. Awesome.
But
Great. I
no,
love that.
I don't want to single anyone in specific. I'm trying to come up with a name, and really I
Yeah.
can't. So sorry.
No, that's all good. It's all good.
I
Not,
love
not
that.
always we get a name on that one, so it's totally fine. And then maybe my favorite one here in the lightning round, kind of if you would think about, are there any recent ideas or concepts that you've heard about or learned about that really fascinates you, that comes to mind? That could be a big idea, a small idea, or concept, but something you've recently learned or heard about that's super interesting.
I'm sales, right? So I never go out of character. I'm always sales. So I'll just shamelessly promote something that we're putting out there.
Go for it. Yeah, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
No, I'm joking, but really, the new concept that I'm still grasping on and learning about is something that we have just. So our answer to agentic AI, or our positioning in the agentic AI space, this CXOP platform that we have just released, the CX orchestration platform. So making AI agents or agentic AI work and use people data and digital channels to, drive these hyper personalized messaging in every stage of the customer journey. Uh, I'll give you this. I'll give you
Yep.
this as my next big concept that I'm learning about, because to be very honest with you, we kind of just rolled it out, and it's now to figure out with the team how to position it, how to roll it out in the market. So I'll go with that. And
Nice. Yep.
on a more personal level now, I hope you understand that this was also a bit of a joke, to kind of
Yep.
resonate with why I'm even here. And then on a personal note, I love to, if you would look at my feed, it's all about this de-influencing and underconsumption. And you guys know how accessible and how accessible and how easy and fast, and the commodities that we have in Middle East. I feel sometimes the customer experience is, there are organizations in the Middle East that do it brilliantly. So for me, it kind of also then, but then it takes you to this, consuming everything. Everything is accessible. Everything is always there for you to buy fast, to consume fast. So I'm in that stage personally where I'm like being influenced, and I want to go into concept of other consumption, other consumption. So these are things that I'm kind of resting on and inviting into my life.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
I
love
love
that.
that. That's the first time
Yeah,
I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
sure. I
love
like
that.
that.
And Ada, this is my favorite question to ask. What is one life philosophy you like to live by?
I want to go back to what Haider was mentioning that I forgot to mention when I was doing the advice answer. Definitely, professionally, always lead by example. Thank you, Haider, for reminding me of that one. Definitely, always lead by
No worries.
example. I love that, and that's so very true. Um, and then personally, I feel I've already mentioned it as well. Like, keep things simple, don't overcomplicate things. It's really okay to not be the smartest person in the room, but the chances are very high that you'll outwork the smartest person in the room. So kind of always have this in mind that just showing up for yourself is what makes the difference. And this is it for me. We still haven't met in 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 person, but if you would see me, you know that I never tend to be the loudest person in the room, and I never feel that being loud is what kind of brings attention to your value or what you have to say. If you don't have to say anything, like just keep quiet, observe more than talk. These are all things that kind of resonate well with me, and that's drive me. And if there is a life philosophy that I follow, it's among all of these lines.
Yeah, I love that. And Ada, on the weekends when you are not working, how do you like to decompress?
There's a lot of fun activities that are forced on us because we have to keep a 2.5-year-old entertained. So making sure he's spending a lot of time out of the house is what I know that you both notice. Yeah, you can resonate well with this one. For me, for the past year, I think it's been Pilates for the past year for me because it kind of it allows me to not just do this low intensity training that is something that really is well suited for me, but also it kind of helps me reset my mind. And it's like you get the therapy without having to talk to anyone. It's beautiful. And you didn't even need to talk to anyone. I love it. So this is it for me. This is what I try to do as whenever I can and as much as I can. And it's very convenient. It's here in the same building where I work. So
Nice.
for the past year, this has been it for me. And as cliche as it might be at the moment, because it's very trending, but really, it's amazing for me right now. So I'll go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Pilates is amazing. It's amazing. And Ada, for anybody that wants to connect with you, what's the best way of doing so?
I love internet, and one of my favorite internet memes is like, hope this email finds you well. So the meme response like, hope this email doesn't find me.
Yeah.
I love that. No, joke aside, I think LinkedIn is the safest place. I always really try to respond if in any way I can help. It's also been my number one tool in prospecting always. LinkedIn has always helped me connect with my prospects and buyers the most. So if for anyone who wants to connect, I think the safest, easiest way is LinkedIn.
Okay. Amazing. Well, Ada, thank you
Awesome.
so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
It's been
love
a pleasure
talking to
having you
you.
on. Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on.
We want to thank our sponsors for supporting the Sussex Revenue podcast. RevSetter is the #1 customer success and management platform in the Middle East region, offering global capabilities mixed with regional solutions that helps your CS, account management, and go-to-market teams 10x efficiency, improve customer experience, and turbocharge customer retention rates.
And thank you to Medlify, a leading marketplace. Workers and employers in the healthcare space needs and demands meet to create benefits for both sides. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.